In this virtual conference, our hometown president and CEO Matt Larson hosts an info session on the Our Hometown Digital Initiative Grant Program. Our hometown is partnering with press associations around the country to help local publishers develop and succeed with their online presence. Learn more at ourhometown.com.
All right, welcome everyone. It is 2 o'clock in New York, and I'm out in Salt Lake City. I think we got a lot of folks joining us from all over the country, lots of different state associations represented today. So welcome everyone. Thank you for taking the time to join us. My name is Matt Larson. I'll be giving you an overview of the Our Hometown Digital Initiative, which is our strategy to get every newspaper in North America online with a mobile responsive website, a metered paywall, and an ad network. And this is all entirely based on and modeled after the VPA and the Illinois Press Association. They came to us with this idea, and we've really embraced it, and we're trying to bring it to other press associations. But it was really the Virginia Press Association that came to me originally and said, we need to get every paper online. There's public notice issues. They need to develop a digital business model. So that's basically what we'll be presenting today. So let's just go over that quickly. In the next 30 to 45 minutes, what we will discuss is the details of the VPA and IPA initiatives, exactly how that rollout is going and the plans for that. We'll discuss our turnkey digital revenue strategy, which is going to include basically the website features, and the ones that we're going to use to monetize the website, and then the publishing services that we can provide to make it totally turnkey for your members and for the publisher. Because that's really the key in our view to this whole program, and I'll tell you all about that. Also, some of the funding models that we're seeing. Like I said, we have VPA and IPA now in production. Less than an hour ago, I got an email from the Kansas Press Association, and they just got board approval. So we're seeing all different types of funding models. I'll describe those to you, and I'm also very interested in your ideas, where this could be funded from. How to apply. We're taking applications from all press associations. If you want to, if you're an independent publisher and you want to apply on behalf of your press association to get the discounts that we'll be discussing and all the benefits, and access to the program, you're more than welcome to. It's basically a first come, first serve basis. And, we're already cranking out prototypes very fast. So the sooner you can apply, the better. A couple website logistics here. This is a live webinar. And what I'm going to try here is something new. I'm going to just invite everyone in. You don't need to turn on your camera. Don't feel pressured at all. And I didn't realize this was going to make you all panelists, but I guess it will. And I just want to open up the conversation. Feel free to unmute yourself at any time and just start talking. Okay, no pressure to, again. And if you aren't talking, probably better to just keep yourself muted in case there's background noise. But I wanted to try this today. And if you don't want to talk, you can always use the chat. We always have the chat bar up here. So if you have questions throughout, but this is a smaller group than what we're used to, and it's kind of a little bit more specific topic. So I just wanted to open that up. So feel free to jump in. Definitely looking forward to all your feedback on the program that we are running now, and some ideas on how it could be improved. Okay, what is the VPA Digital Initiative? Let's start there. The objective of the Virginia Press Association is to get every newspaper in Virginia online with a turnkey digital revenue strategy. Now, what do I mean by that? First of all, we got to get them online, right? With a website. We take our website templates and we move over any archives that they have. Usually, if they don't have a website now, we're just talking PDFs. But we are working with publishers that have a website, but it's antiquated. It's not updated frequently. So we move over any archives you have, including HTML. But we're using templates. So there's really no decisions that the publisher needs to make in the terms of the design. They can, just take our default template or pick and choose from any one of our 250 sites we work with, and we copy that site, that layout. But then the key is that we're going to update the website each week with content from the print PDF. Every press association I've talked to has said that they've wanted to offer something like this, but they haven't been able to get the program off the ground. I believe that this is the key because it has to be so easy for the publisher that they literally don't need to do anything and the website can succeed and develop a revenue stream and mainly from the paywall. And the key to that is updating it with all the content from the print PDF each week. And we will do that for you. We then monetize the engaged portion of the audience with recurring digital subscriptions. And specifically, I like to use a metered paywall. We feel that that has proven itself as the model. And so, as long as you're publishing, or we are publishing that content each week, we will develop the engaged audience. There's also kind of like a casual portion of your audience that may never subscribe, but we can still monetize those page views with an ad network. And then once we have that whole model in place, then you can just fuel it to scale. And so we're going to grow the website traffic and then therefore grow subscriptions and ad revenue by automatically posting links to articles on social media. So we'll talk about that in much more detail shortly. But first of all, the key to this, again, is the full service web publishing. And this is something that we've been doing for newspapers for 26 years at our hometown. So, this is not a fly by night thing. We've got a whole operation of technicians all over the country that log in sometimes in the middle of the night, whenever you send us your PDF files or whenever the publisher sends them. So that's the first step. And the last step for the publisher is just to send the latest PDF edition. Then our team converts those PDF files to HTML articles, which is, the language of the internet. And that's how the text articles on the New York Times appear. So, we get each article under its own page and its own URL. And then all those articles are published on the WordPress website. And so we're actually also publishing the e-edition, the original PDF that you sent us. And I'll talk about that more in a minute. But like I said, it's basically FTP process. You're used to sending your files to the printer through FTP. So you just FTP it to our hometown, and that's you got a website. That's the only extra step. So VirginiaStar.net, they were one of the first at the VPA that launched. And so I just like to show this little trifecta of products that we offer. We've got the original PDF viewer in the e-edition. We've got the mobile responsive website, which adapts to the mobile view here. And here's the desktop version. So this is just our out of the box template. She just went with pretty much our prototype template. And so the question to her that I asked in the VPA conference last week was, how long does it take to get the website launched? And I think for her, it took a couple weeks, maybe like 6 to 8 weeks. Our typical turnaround time, if you send us a PDF, is less than a week to get a prototype up. And then depending on how long it takes to get the archives, we can usually launch in 4 to 8 weeks is a pretty good range. How long does it take to get, and these are just very common questions that we get from publishers, as we start to roll this out at the associations. How long does it take to convert the PDF files to text articles each week? And as long as we know about when to expect those files, a certain hour on a certain day, then we will have a technician standing by and they can turn it around in less than an hour. If, the files come late, then there's sometimes a little bit of a delay, but, we've got a whole team standing by to handle these files. And it takes about an hour turnaround. Courier Record was the second site that we launched with the VPA. And so some FAQs that came from them, and we set them up with this was a whole page on the website to sell print subscriptions. So this is a way to expand your print business, and you can sell combo subscriptions. We can have the print subscribers come in and claim a digital upgrade. We can sync our system up with your print circulation system, a variety of ways depending on what system you use for that. So we can definitely handle that. And basically sell subscriptions 24/7, and no longer have to just do it through the phone. How do we generate traffic to the website from social media? Well, that's the big question, right? And that is answered with a WordPress plugin that we've developed called Social Media Auto Post. And so if you imagine the whole workflow starting at the PDF, then we turn it into this HTML article where it's its own page, it's its own URL, a complete story. That is then formatted into a social media template. that we can then share automatically to Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Reddit, and LinkedIn. So that's the key, because I think we all recognize the fact that, there's a large audience on social media. There's definitely a need to be there, but who has the time to copy and paste each article link and post it on all the channels? This will just take care of it for you. So this is really just a natural extension of that PDF extraction process. Okay, now I think we do have from the Virginia Press Association with us. And I'm just going to give you a heads up here, Rachel. Maybe after this video, if you wouldn't mind making a quick comment on how the program's going with VPA. I was so happy to hear that you wanted to join here at the last minute. So we haven't really gone over this, but Rachel, if you wouldn't mind, this 3-minute video is from our session last week. They had a great virtual convention, and we heard from the publisher of the Courier Record and the Virginia Star. So I just thought I'd share this quick video with you guys so you can hear directly from them.
Today, we're highlighting 2 customer stories on their initial experiences as part of the Virginia Press Association and Our Hometown's digital initiative. We hear from Steve Weddle of the VPA, Lisa Watson-McCarty, publisher at Scott County Virginia Star, and Billy Colburn, publisher at Courier Record.
Working with y'all at Our Hometown, one of the things that Virginia Press Association wanted to do was make sure that the newspapers had, like we've said, some runway. So I think that the 3-year program is key here. And I know, because having spoken with you all a number of times, it has been a good experience for you with the digital initiative.
And I'll say this too, as a rule, whatever you belong to, whether it's a country club or a chamber of commerce, people are always asking, what benefit do I get out of it? And I can honestly say, this is not just because I'm a former board member. This is to me, one of the most, the biggest benefits that the VPA has ever offered its members, not to mention the lobby and fighting for the public notices and all that. This is a big deal. And most of the papers, I would venture to say, are rural/suburban in the Virginia Press Association. We know who the big papers are, but all across the Commonwealth, there are papers like Lisa's and mine, with a staff of between 4 and 7 people that are overworked. You're always worried about, God forbid, if someone leaves, then we're back at, it's, I'm more upbeat. I'll be honest with you, I'm more upbeat and optimistic and less intimidated by the great, vast internet than I've ever been. I'm 53 years old, college educated, have a strong online presence, but now I'm starting to see, hey, we can monetize this baby. We can do it.
Yep, absolutely. Thanks.
Let me add, if this 61-year-old woman can figure out how to do it, anybody can do it. Because I didn't know anything about it, but Our Hometown has done a fantastic job, and it's so easy. Everything they tell you to do, you do it, and it's simple. And then you look like the New York Times, if that's what you want to be, the New York Times. But they're a fantastic group.
Thanks. That was a great little video. I started, they had actually already signed on before I came on board. And I was really excited to hear, this was available. And it's been amazing. It's been so easy for our members who've signed on to the program. The main thing that we really liked about it is that we're helping these papers and these members, eventually be self-sustainable with this website and with this product. And that was a big thing for us, is we wanted, to help them by building this template, providing them the resources, and then they'll be able to take this, further and farther and really build upon it and, do different add-ons or make it bigger than we ever expected. So we've just been so happy with you guys, and working with your team has been amazing. And all we hear is just positive notes from our members who have signed on board.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Rachel. I appreciate it. And I got to hand it to you because, you have really been the one to make it happen on your side, because, Betsy is the executive director. She's super busy, Steve as well. So they brought you in to really make this happen and reach out to the publishers that need it. Billy, he had a website before, didn't have a revenue model. There was no paywall on there, and he wasn't publishing all the content on the website. So he had a great presence. As he said, he had a lot of traffic to the website, but it wasn't generating any revenue. So he qualified that way. And, Lisa didn't have really much of a didn't have the resources to update the website. She did technically have a website, right, Rachel? But she couldn't update
it wasn't being updated. Yeah.
Right. So that's a perfect example. Those are two features that I mentioned of the three core ones, right? There's updating the website, updating a mobile responsive website each week that has a paywall and an ad network. So if they don't have any one of those three, they would qualify. I think they would really benefit from this. I think I should have some polls here, interactive polls. Let's try this. So let's just lay these out. These are like usually great talking points that I like to go over with association directors, just things that are kind of useful to think about, like how many of your members do not have any website at all? Do you have a sense of that, or what percentage of your members don't? How many of your members' sites are not mobile friendly? In terms of, like when you go to the website, the text is very small. You got to pinch and zoom to read it. Do any of your members have just a static site where the content is not updated every single week with each new edition? Are any of your paid print newspapers, are there any paid print newspapers that do not have a paywall on their site? This was the case with Courier Record. And lastly, and specifically paid, if they're paid in print. I mean, if they're free in print, it's sort of a different situation. And then lastly, how many of your members are not currently posting public notices online? Because this is a big concern that I've heard from a lot of directors, that there's going to be another resource in town that's going to pop up and just kind of take the opportunity away from the newspaper if we don't act on this. So I think we've got our answers in. Let's see if we could end this. Well, let's see. We got about 40% participation. I think we're done there. Okay, so share results. Sorry, I'm getting kind of used to this stuff still. I don't usually do the interactive thing. So it looks like 75% have members without a website. So 25% are saying all their members have at least some web presence, which is good. Although, ironically, you can find it, like if they have a web presence but it's not updated ever, there can kind of be a bad first impression in the mind of the readers. So we kind of have to sometimes work a little harder to overcome that. But anyway, does your press association have members with a website that is not mobile friendly? 100% of you said yes, at least one member not mobile friendly. Next one, websites that are not updated each week. 100% of you, know at least a few members that don't update their website each week. And again, 100% have at least a few members that aren't using a paywall. Okay, so that's our poll. So that's really helpful feedback. I'm always interested in, exactly how those stats shake out. So here's the breakdown in terms of the features that the website will come with. This is just kind of, the nuts and bolts of things. We talked about this general strategy. Now, how do we make it happen? We've got a list of core features and services. And Our Hometown offers a lot of different features. We do audio articles. We turn the text into podcasts. We do, native apps. But a lot of those things are for the papers that have a more established digital presence. I've taken our features and boiled them down to purely the revenue-driving features that you absolutely need on your website. And that's what we're going to focus on. We don't want to get distracted by all the bells and whistles yet. So we've got a WordPress platform. We've got, so the platform is just where you publish your articles, or rather we publish them for you. And you can go in and manage them. We've got digital subscriptions. That's how you monetize the content with the metered paywall. We've got web ads, and these papers, they can run any direct ads that they sell for the website. But if there's nothing being sold, we've got an ad network that will fill the remnant space. The e-edition PDF viewer, I include this in the core features because it is a good bridge for that print audience that is used to viewing the content that way. We'll be able to say you can still get it as the PDF on the website. And, if you're doing some type of a print upsell or print upgrade, that can really help bring that audience over. The full service digital publishing, PDF to HTML, we talked about that. And so most of these publishers are, 10 to 12 pages a week. So I'm just using an estimate of 12 pages in this case here that I'm going to present. The last step is the social media auto post. We already talked about that. Now here's the the good stuff that you're all going to like. As a press association, if we can enter into a partnership like we've done with VPA and IPA, then I will give like Steve was saying in that video, the first year is so important. We got to give them some runway. So we're going to give a 45% discount on our retail rates. So normally a website with all this stuff would be about $362 a month, assuming 12 pages, and we're putting up all the content. It would be $250 a month cost to our hometown. Now, how we pay that is up in the air. There's a lot of different options. So we'll get to that in just a second. But that's what I want to offer, just to get these publishers off the ground that have no digital presence. They really need that year of runway, and this is how we keep them profitable throughout. That's really the objective there. Let's see, many other features available. I mentioned that. Okay, so here's the turnkey digital revenue model. So I look at this as like the Facebook opportunity, right? Because many publishers that have no website today, or just a weak website where it's not being updated, they just don't have traffic going to a website. Let's say the traffic is still looking for news in the community, and they're looking on Facebook. And so many of these publishers, it's really interesting to see it. Some of these, you all answered that some of your members don't have websites. So I would encourage you to think of one that that comes to mind. Look at their Facebook page. I can almost guarantee that they have 5,000 to 10,000 followers on there. It's a huge Facebook page for a local newspaper. That's very good because this is where everyone has gone, and they've been posting free content there most likely for years, and that leads to a lot of likes and followers, but there's no business model there. There's no future. There's no way to turn that into revenue. So how do we turn that Facebook audience into traffic to the website? Again, we just post every link that's posted on the website on Facebook. And then we take that audience, all the traffic coming from Facebook, and convert what we can to paying subscribers with the metered paywall. And again, the metered paywall, you can configure that any way you want. You can give 5 or 10 free articles every month, any number, any frequency that you want to renew that. And then we generate ad revenue from the ad network with every visit. And the case study here was really interesting. A paper in Indiana actually had 20,000 followers on Facebook, more than I've ever seen for a weekly paper, but no website. And we basically launched the new website, had it live for about a week, promoted it in the print edition. And I think we did put, they did publish, like an announcement on their Facebook page with a link to the new site. And that generated a little blip, but then it dropped down to almost nothing again, even though we were publishing stories every single week. And so once we enabled auto post, every single one of those posts is going to Facebook. You're just going to increase the likelihood that one of those followers is going to see a post in their newsfeed, and the traffic from Facebook increased 50 times virtually overnight just from turning on this feature. So this is basically the model, again, in a nutshell. Okay. So let's see, association discount schedule. I already mentioned that the first year, if we sign you up as an association in partnership with our hometown, then you get a 45% discount for all your members, any number of papers that you bring to us from the association, and basically that's on the core features that I mentioned to help get the website to profitability. Second year and beyond, the website will qualify for an association group discount. Okay, that starts at 10% off the core features and scales to 45% as more members join. So the idea here is ideally we'll keep you at 45% throughout the entire project. If we can bring enough papers on in that first year, then you'll stay at that level. And that's basically how we're going to make this sustainable as well. So we can definitely give you that runway in the beginning, but you really want to have those publishers lined up. You want to have a list in your mind of who you think would be interested, and then we can crank out the prototypes and get as many up as we can in that first year. Okay, feel free to drop any questions or jump in at any time if you have any, but we're kind of getting towards the end here, looking at funding models. A couple of things that I've seen, association, just like the grant model. What they're doing with VPA is funding 100% of the website in the first year. So that $250, the publisher doesn't even pay that small amount for full production of their website. It's completely free to them. So, this is a great way to get those, really resistant publishers that have, not wanting to spend anything online, not wanting to put any of their resources in. They won't have to do either, and they can have a website. $50,000, just to give you a kind of a number to start with, would cover 14 to 16 websites for 1 year. So just to give you like a ballpark figure, that's kind of the number that a lot of associations are talking about, when they look for funding. The second year, you can shift that. Okay, so it's a multi-year program. In the second year, the association pays 50%. So $150, and the publisher is paying 150 or 125 each month. Okay. And again, throughout this whole time, the publisher is collecting 100% of the digital subscription revenue and the ad revenue. Excuse me, I misspoke on that. The ad revenue, Our Hometown is going to take 10% cut just to basically stay. We have to apply to be in all these premium ad networks. So that covers our maintenance costs there. Third year, we would transfer the contract to the publisher because we actually have the contract with the association. And then once they're paying 100% of the cost, then they're just an Our Hometown customer, but they're going to continue to get those group discounts, just for being in your state. Okay. All right. I mentioned this already. 100% of subscription revenue, 90% of ad network. Now, in terms of the profit share model, this is another idea that I've heard. If you don't have the funding up front to put, let's say, the 50K in, what I was thinking is that associations could collect 100% of the subscription revenue, not necessarily keep all that, but just collect it for the publisher. And then the 90% of the ad revenue, they would just take all the revenue that would normally go directly to the publisher in this case. But then after subtracting out Our Hometown's costs, there's a profit share with the newspaper. And something like a 75% profit share going to the newspaper, and then the association keeping 25%, I think would make sense, because then you can fund the new and underperforming websites, right? Because someone doesn't have a website in 2020, it's going to take them a few months to build that traffic. So the first few months may not be profitable. And so that's why, we kind of have this pool that is constantly being fed into with the profit share. Any questions on that? Feel free to drop them in the chat, or any comments if you think that would be something more sustainable, more likely for your association. I'd definitely be interested. Next steps. So basically, I'm going to throw out a link here to apply to the program. So let me just fix this real quick. The digital initiative, you can just come to this page. There's a very short form. I basically just need your contact info, state association name, and answers to those questions that we asked earlier in the webinar. Approximately how many of your members do not have websites, things like that. And if you could just submit that form, and if you have an idea of how much you'd be willing to put in, if you're looking at like a grant model, definitely would be interested in that feedback. But we're really open to any kind of partnership. Even if it's just getting your members the discounted group rates, and just kind of being like the vendor of choice for your association, we'd be open to that too. So very flexible, and this program is still very much in its infancy, so we're still deciding where to go with it. But once you're accepted into the initiative, and we partner with your association, then the first step would be to create a prototype, basically. So all we need is a PDF for that. You would send the files to wetransfer.com, this email address, and then we basically turn around a mobile responsive website. And the idea is we really want to kind of wow the publisher in that first impression of the whole program. So they literally send off their PDF to you, and then in about a week, they get a mobile responsive website back. And that's kind of what happens on a weekly basis, except it only takes an hour once the website's set up. Then we would, meet with the publisher directly. You could introduce us. You could just send an intro email. You don't really need to be, you can be as involved as you want. Rachel is incredibly involved and makes the whole, introduction process very smooth. But, we also see publisher associations just giving us the publisher contact, and then we set up the meeting, and it's very smooth. And sometimes the publisher doesn't even have to have a lot of feedback. Really, we just need some basic information from them to get started. And one of the basic things we need from them is their DNS, access to, control their GoDaddy account so that we could launch the website. But, if they don't really want to send us archives, if they really just want to get this thing going and try it with very little time on their part, we pretty much just need their GoDaddy login or an invite to manage that account. And then we would redirect it to the website. I think that's pretty much all I have for, the components of the program and, how you could get involved. Just a little bit of background on our hometown. If you haven't heard about us, we've been doing this CMS business specifically for newspapers since 1997. We're a family business founded by my father, and I took over as CEO 5 years ago. We manage hundreds of newspaper websites, about 260, I think, at last count, and native apps across North America. And everything that we do is based on a WordPress platform that we've customized for newspapers. And our number one priority has always been customer support. I mean, really, we don't see ourselves as just website developers, because we are working with the publishers on a weekly basis and actually literally publishing the content for them on the website. So we're kind of like a remote part of your operation, really, week to week. And then the platform itself is constantly evolving. Those features with audio and apps really just came out in the last few years, all based on publisher feedback and the expertise that we've developed with after working in the field for 26 years. So what we have today, like I said, it's just some of the features, the core features that we're going to focus on. There's a whole bunch of other things you can add. But yeah, that's basically all that I have for you today. So if you have any other questions, feel free to stick around, speak up, drop them in the chat, or shoot me an email after. I'd be happy to meet with any one of you one-on-one and talk about how we could offer a similar program to your members if you're interested. Thank you again so much. I'll hang around for a few minutes to see if there's any questions, but if not, we'll talk to you all soon. Thank you so much.
Thanks for joining us at today's Our Hometown virtual conference. Follow Our Hometown on social media for updates on the Digital Initiative Grant Program or visit ourhometown.com.